What is up, office workers and interns? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode we are taking a break and diving into something lighthearted. We are going to talk about Haman's butt as we dive into Arasa, OL Haman-Sama, or around 30-something office worker Haman-Sama. OL stands for Office Lady for anyone interested. The Japanese people love using their acronyms. This is a slice-of-life manga where we see our hero, Haman, go about her day-to-day life in middle management. She will attempt to find love and navigate an awkward social life. To spice things up, we are going to have a gratuitous butt shot counter. Just so you degenerates know, I am not counting casual butt shots, just gratuitous ones. What am I doing with my life? Anyways, let's get into this. Haman-Sama works for the Neo-Zeon apparel company. She is currently a section manager, and one of her employees, Mashima, is apologizing to her. All she really wants to do, though, is head home and free her boobs from the constraint of her office clothes. Focus, we made a choice on butts, we're sticking with it. She grabs her plush Cubely and passes out. Haman borrowed a movie from her coworker Shar, titled Impressive Masterpiece Love Story. She doesn't buy into sappy romance stories and knows that she isn't going to like it, but she decides to watch it just to criticize and make fun of it. The more and more she watches the movie, the more she gets into it, until she is finally brought to tears. We get to see Haman's morning routine, so if you ever wanted to know how Haman does her hair, mainly curling iron, hairdryer, and a lot of patience. Haman goes to work to find two of her coworkers looking at a picture of a cat. She looks at it as well and is overtaken by the cuteness, even though she has never been interested in cats before. Mashima says that Haman is probably more a lion. She somewhat agrees with him, and she gets the team back to work. Haman feels down after being compared to a cat. She sits on the curb after work as a cat happens to walk up to her. She picks up the cat and asks if it will comfort her, a reminder that Sha is French for cat. The cat decides to bite her finger and run off. Haman cries herself to sleep that night. Haman is a part of the public relations department. She wants her team to know the enemy, but in order to know the enemy, they must know thyself. So they are all going to test their two new lingerie products, the Hama-Hama and the Gaza-C. The Gaza-C mobile suits is quite slim and has a lot of internals revealed to the world. So too does the Gaza-C lingerie leave little to the imagination. The Hama-Hama is more conservative, but still doesn't skimp on style. When you woke up today, did you expect to consume this kind of content? Well, I didn't expect to write it, so we are both put in an awkward situation right now. One of our employees, Karasun, volunteers to try the product. She begins stripping right in front of everyone. Haman tells her to go to the changing room and asks if she has any shame. Kara says no. She tells her to take it off. As Haman's shirt comes off, breast pads fall out. Haman was even using 2 breast pads per boob to fill out her chest, and she is ashamed. Haman is embarrassed, but Kara offers some of her breast meat. In the other room, Shar could hear their entire conversation. It is 5 p.m. The workday is done. Some people go out to the bars. Others go for a drive. Haman, however, decides to spend her night off eating $30 worth of sweets. This is what being an adult is to her. She splurges on the expensive brand of Häagen-Dazs. Is Häagen-Dazs a big brand in Japan? I didn't see it when I lived there 10 years ago, but I always went for the 7-Eleven cheap stuff. She waits for a convenience store worker to ring her up. She wonders if all this sugar will give her acne. That is when the store clerk, Jiro Ashita, comes in to help her with the biggest smile. While he rings her up, Haman melts on the inside. She did not know that he worked today. Haman wishes that he would ask her out. Judo bluntly says to Haman that is a lot of junk food. She doesn't know how to respond. Should she lie to him? Perhaps she is going to a party? She holds up an umaibo to her face and says, adult women also eat sweets at night. If you haven't tried an umaibo, it's like a giant Cheeto stick. Haman goes home and dwells for 2 hours on why she said that to Judo. She worries and dwells so much that she doesn't even touch her snacks. Haman is hanging out with all of her plush Cublies. She is waiting for a delivery today. She is receiving her limited edition Mochi Cube. As she plays with her Cublies, she notices a roach on the wall. Japanese people really loathe roaches. The only thing that Japanese people hate more than roaches are Koreans. Got 'em! Japan isn't immune to racism. She is no longer in her 20s and can't scream for help. He must take action. She grabs a fly swatter, insecticide, hot water, a newspaper, and detergent. This is Heavy Weapon Systems Haman. She must try to avoid close combat because roaches are icky and gross. The fight begins. Outside of her home, the delivery man comes to her door. Haman opens the door crying. She ended up crushing the roach. The delivery man doesn't really care and just wants her to sign for the package. At work, one of Haman's subordinates comes in with a new revision plan. She gives a smile and praises her, but she leaves apologizing and saying she will do better next time. She looks in the mirror and smiles to realize that she looks really scary when she smiles. She flashes back to the past 30 years and wonders if she always looked this scary when she smiled. She realizes that she is on the path to becoming a boomer. She practices being nice in front of a mirror. Char walks in and teases her. Char also solves this problem quite easily by telling the subordinate that Haman liked her pitch. Haman is wearing a new perfume today. She fantasizes about Char noticing her perfume and commenting how it is 3 times better than before. As she goes into work, she tries to get Char to notice, but he is too busy on the phone. That is when Mashimer comes over to ask Haman a question and notices her new perfume. After work, Haman goes to the kombini and solves her anger with alcohol. Judo happens to be working that day. He happens to notice Haman's perfume. She is glad that someone she actually likes notices. He then says that it smells like a bathroom air freshener. Haman runs out crying, forgetting her beer. That is the last day she wore that perfume. At the office, Kara asks Haman if she wants to go to a party with her. Haman doesn't really like low-level events like that, but Kara insists. She decides she will go. Even though she gave Kara a hard time, she is very excited that she was invited. They head out to an izakaya to party. Amongst the group is Bicha, Mondo, Ino, and Rekawa. Haman didn't realize they would be partying with 20-somethings. This isn't 20-something Haman-Sama. This is 30-something Haman-Sama. Ino says that he is into mature women, but Haman says she isn't even close to being old enough to be called mature. Bicha mentions that the gang knows judo, and he never comes to these events because he is always hanging out with his sister. Bicha says that he thinks that he has a sister complex. Earlier, Haman thinks that judo thinks of her like a sister because of how blunt he is. But if he has a sister complex, she has a chance. Weird angle to attack romance, but what do I know? She uses this party as an opportunity to get Bicha drunk and have him spill all the info on judo. The next morning, Haman is hungover. She struggles to make it to her train stop, but when she does, she finds Rekawa smoking and hungover as well. Haman has made a new drinking friend. The apartments that Haman live in are called Axis Mansion. She gets a visitor at the door. It is her young sister, Minerva. Even though they aren't related, their bond is very strong. She is 18 and came to visit some potential colleges. She is wearing a vest from the Weist Foundation. She says that she wants to be just like Haman, but she uses alliterative language involving lights and solar rays and other weapons of mass destruction in Universal Century. She hasn't decided which school she wants to go to, but she knows she wants to be close to Haman again. She wants to use the bathroom and stumbles into a corner of Haman's room where she stuffed trash and junk. In Japan, it is customary to always have a clean and pristine living quarters, which is why you get the overused cliche of stumbling into a room full of trash and being embarrassed. Haman says, "I'm sorry, I was very, very drunk before you came over." Haman wants to be a better role model for Minerva. The two clean up together. Minerva makes Haman her special pasta. As she eats it, Minerva calls Haman cute. She doesn't hear that often, so it causes her to cough up the food. Minerva stays the night before heading home the next day. Haman finally finished. I just realized her subordinate is Sarah. She wonders how Haman is able to handle so much. She doesn't reveal that she essentially covered her entire back with Salonpas pads. She sums up the pain of being over 30 quite well. It is never being able to get rid of the tiredness from the day before. Mashimer comes over and massages Haman's shoulders. Of course, Mashimer is that creepy guy in the office. However, it feels so nice after a long day that Haman doesn't even mind. Sarah comes over and says what they are doing is considered sexual harassment. Mashimer immediately stops. Haman says that he should quit his job and start a massage parlor. Mashimer says that Haman is quite funny. Haman isn't joking. Later that day, Haman went to get a proper massage. Haman is up late at night staring at her phone. She can't get to sleep. She wonders what it would be like if Judo proposed to her. Her fantasy starts out like your typical drama. Judo says, "I love you, but I'm just a part-time kombini worker." Haman runs her own fantasy by imagining herself taking care of Judo like a princess. She imagines Mashimer proposing to her while giving her a bouquet of 100,000 roses. Nope, she doesn't like that either. She then imagines if Char proposes. He does so, but he does it so nonchalantly and wonders what should they do now. Haman strips into a dominatrix outfit and forces Char to ask her out. She smiles, but then realizes that she is fantasizing about men she knows. She ends up embarrassing herself to a point where she gets absolutely no sleep that night. The next day at work, Char asks Haman why she didn't sleep so well. Haman tells him to shut up and that it is his fault. Haman is struggling and is a sad corporate warrior today. Shar comes to visit her as she hides out on the rooftop. She is happy with work and her moderate social life, but she feels she is missing something. Shar asks if she would like to come over to his place and spend the night together. Her heart beats 5 times faster. After work, the two head over to Shar's place, and they get comfortable and make sweet, sweet games. As the two make passionate game together, he notes that he invites her over to play the latest games because he realizes he doesn't have any friends, just exes. They get into it and Haman elbows Shar right in the chin. He literally took it on the chin, but Shar still won that round. They go again. They make sweet, sweet game all night long. She realizes that Shar was trying to cheer her up, but she hates it. The next day at Neo-Zeon, the director, Rakan Dakaran, asks her to come to his office. His department is getting assigned 2 new employees. Rakan introduces Puru and Puru 2 to Haman. Puru seems quite energetic as she takes photos with Morar and Sarah and touches Kara's boobs. But Puru 2 is apathetic about everything. Haman, Kara, and Mashimur plot about making them functional members of society by overworking them. She tries old manipulative tactics, but it seems the team ends up liking them. In the break room, Puru comes in and notices that Haman has a rip in her stocking. Puru gives her an extra pair that she had on her. Haman is starting to realize that perhaps her ways are archaic. She goes to put on stockings only to realize that they have bears all over them. They are way too cutesy for her taste and is embarrassed. Puru starts taking photos. Haman doesn't like her new employees. Haman invites Puru and Puru 2 to an office drinking party, but the two have no interest wasting time or money. Haman is disappointed. She goes to talk to Rekawa about trying to find equal ground with the younger generation. She suggests that she give him a treat. The next day, Haman gives Puru and Puru 2 a mochi cubi as a gift. Remember, these are plush cubies that Haman is obsessed with. At first, she thinks that they hate them and regrets spending $50 a pop on them, but the two actually love it. Haman goes out for a drink with Kara. Kara's complaining about recently getting dumped. She blames him on her boobies. Haman says showing them off all the time probably isn't helping. Kara wants Haman to teach her some pickup lines and romance techniques. She thinks to herself and says that she has only ever gamed with one other person. Kara wants her to demonstrate her Ichikoto techniques, which is a way to overwhelm or beat down. Is Ichikoto typically used in dating terms? If so, yikes, Japan. I hope I'm missing the joke. Haman gets in close to Kara. She caresses her face and says, "Come to me." Kara laughs and says that wasn't a pickup line. Haman is very embarrassed. From that moment on, she swore to never give dating advice again. Haman is done with work for the rest of the day. She heads to the konbini to grab some snacks. At least seeing Judo's face will make her day. She walks in to find Puru and Puru 2. They happen to have moved to a mansion close by. Puru tries to get Haman to buy her sweets, but she ain't having it. She wants to get beer, but last time, Judo teased her, so she decides to go for the sweets this time. As she goes to the cash register, she notices that Puru is hitting on Judo and calling him handsome. This was supposed to be Haman's moment, but Puru ruined it. She is upset. That is when Puru 2 notices. She realizes that Judo is Haman's type. Embarrassed by the whole situation, Haman decides to buy everyone's snacks. Later, they all walk home to realize that Puru and Puru 2 moved into the Axis mansion. Haman can't catch a break. Haman and her team are at the domestic lingerie exhibition. They are showing their new Dragon Baowu lingerie. The AMX 107 Dragon Baowu is closer to the Hama-Hama than the Gaza Sea, though the Baowu certainly flaunts more lace than the previous two. The design and materials suggest that you should save this for special occasions when the Hama-Hama and the Gaza Sea can be used for everyday use. What am I doing? As Haman watches the booth, Bright from the Argama Company walks by. He is with Emery. The two make eye contact. Even though they are rivals, Bright and Haman are very cordial with one another. Bright introduces their Newtype employee, Camille. He says that he knows her from the first Neo-Zeon sales wars. He is very upfront, but when meeting someone, you must perform the meishi, which is the formal exchange of the business cards in Japanese culture. She gives Camille her card, but he pulls a Hiro Yui and rips that shit. Camille is like his UC counterpart. He believes all these rules and formalities created by adults are useless. He gets to the heart of it and reminds her that they are enemies. Bright is embarrassed by Camille's behavior. He chokes him out and drags him away. Although crass, Camille is right. In the end, this is a battle and there is no getting around that. She is very turned on by the fact that she has an enemy. She says she hates it, but I'm not buying it. Sometime in the future, Haman is taking a quick lunch break and is at a standing restaurant eating soba. She feels she is going to have more soba days ahead of her with how work is going. That is when Camille walks in in. He gets the soba croquette. He eventually apologizes to her for how he acted during the first meeting. He says that he really likes this job and he just doesn't want to hamper it with feelings. Haman laughs and says she was like that in her 20s, so she understands his feelings. Camille properly gives Haman his business card. She proceeds by ripping that shit up and goes, "Ha, we're even." Camille is mad that she didn't accept his apology. The two finally conduct Meishi, but they do it all wrong. They don't make eye contact, they don't bow, they do however use both hands, so props to that. Afterwards, Haman watches as Camille douses his soba in togarashi. She is amazed by his spice power. Later, Meneva comes to visit Haman. She bakes her cookies, but of course, she burns them. Luckily, Meneva bought some cream puffs for the two. She asks Haman about her mochi cubes. Haman is excited to talk about her favorite thing. She shows off the standard mochi cube in its superior squishiness. She then shows off her mochi yube loungewear, where she can become the mochi cube. Minerva gives Haman a hug and realizes that her skinship is very intense today. Skinship is consensual, non-sexual touching, which is very, very foreign in the West. Do not practice skinship in Western countries. You will go to jail. The next day, Haman tries to eat the burnt cookies that she made for Minerva. She didn't want them to go to waste, but as she tastes them, she changes her mind quickly. She wonders why she sucks so much at cooking and thinks back to her past. We flash back to 20-something Haman with her boyfriend, Char. They are building GUNPLA when she gets hungry. She now remembers that Char did all the cooking and all the cleaning back in the day. She gets drunk and falls asleep on the floor, and Char is the perfect gentleman and takes her to bed. He did everything for her. She snaps out of her flashback and runs, crying to Char. She blames him spoiling her in the past for why she sucks so much today. She forces him to eat one of the burnt cookies as punishment. Haman heads out to 0079 Cinema, where she is seeing a movie. She happens to run into judo. Some movies playing at the cinema are Kukuru's Doan's Island, as well as a zombie version of Hathaway's Flash called Zombie Flash. Another one is Love Stardust Memory 2, and what looks like Cohen and Annabelle hugging on the poster. And my favorite movie, of course, is I Don't Have to Tamino. What does that even mean? I don't have to Tamino. Or is it like Tamino's a way of life? You know, you don't have to Tamino. She loves seeing him in plain clothes. Unfortunately, she learns that he is on a date. Fortunately, however, the date is with his younger sister, Lena. She still has a chance. All of them happen to be seeing Zombie Flash. And when you know it, Haman happens to be sitting right next to Judo. There is no way she is going to be able to concentrate on the movie now. The movie begins, but all Haman can focus on is Judo's face. She watches as he laughs, as he gets scared, and as he sneezes. No, she came here to see a movie. She is going to watch it. Judo suddenly dozes off. She can now focus. On the screen is Galman Reedus, a fusion of Galman Noble from Hathaway's Flash and Norman Reedus of Walking Dead fame. She is annoyed by the movie and not feeling it, but as the movie goes on, she gets into it. As it ends, she finds herself tearing up. Judo notices and hands her a tissue. She is mad that Judo saw her crying. Haman gets ready for bed by relaxing and enjoying a nice hot bath. Suddenly, she gets a knock at the door. It happens to be Puru. Pool is pronounced Puru, and technically, we should be pronouncing her name as Pool in the West. So you could say that Pool is ready for the pool, or Puru is ready for the Puru. The pun works in both languages. She says that their gas isn't working at their place, so they need a place to bathe. Puru is dressed like she is going to the pool rather than taking a bath. Puru too comes in wearing just a typical bathrobe. She says that she will pay her, but Haman is in a bathhouse. She is over it, so she just allows them to use the bath. But she is tired and she is bathing first, so the two could share afterwards. But Puru too says she doesn't want to shower with Puru because she always ends up touching her. Puru plays the victim and Haman comforts Puru rather than Puru too in the moment. She says that Puru and Haman will shower and she will go afterwards. Haman's relaxing night has turned into a stressful one. Also, it is customary to go into the bath completely clean and naked, so Puru in her pool outfit is adding insult to injury. However, this is another form of socially acceptable skinship. Once again, do not bathe with your friends if you are in the West. I mean, sometimes you could get away with that one. They're cool with it. Meanwhile, Puru 2 is having a relaxing time hanging out with Haman's mochi cubes. Haman is at an office party getting down on some Palestine wine. Mashima is there as well, watching her get drunk. He tries to impress her by taking her home. As they take a taxi back to Axis Mansion, Haman passes out and leans on him. She begins muttering the name Char. He has an idea. Mashima takes out a black marker and blacks out his glasses to make him look like Char's shades. Now that he looks like Char, he is certain to get Haman to like him. She then begins muttering the words, "Kill Char." Maybe pretending to be Char is a bad idea. Haman is on the train and has one side of the train car car to herself. However, across from her happens to be Judo's friends. It is Bicha and Elle. They seem to be having an argument. Elle is mad that Bicha went to a party without telling her. Haman and Kara happen to be at that party. He doesn't seem to recognize her. Elle is upset at him. Haman, who had a whole side of a train car to herself, is now suffocating from all the cringe in the train car. The cringe is too much for her to bear. She has to find a way to escape. The couple make up and apologize to one another right as they make it to Haman's stop. She escapes while telling the two to be quiet on the train. She has finally found the freedom from the cringe. Later at work, Kara wonders if those boys from last time will join them for drinks again. Haman wants nothing to do with those losers. Sarah notices that Haman keeps it tight and asks her if she works out. She tells her that she really isn't into that kind of thing. Of course, she is lying to her. Haman goes home later and does some crunches. Now that she is 30, she doesn't want to lose any energy and started working out routinely. She does some squats and says that her butt meat is weighed down by gravity. She is dead from all the sets she did, but she has to reward herself with some Garma Shop shortcake and some Zionic beer. She needs to do her best again tomorrow. At work the next day, Char says she looks different. I'm not sure if the joke is her hard work is paying off or that her rewards are running her workouts. Haman is attending Hinken and Emma's wedding. Emma and Haman were old college friends. She congratulates the two. However, she is actually quite jealous. She drowns herself in champagne. Char comes over and compliments her on her dress. She wonders why he is here. Char happens to be an old friend of the groom. He says that weddings like this make him feel really happy and envious. Her mind races to decipher what he meant by that. He asks if the two want to go somewhere that they could be alone. They head out of the venue. Char gets quiet before telling Haman that there is something that he couldn't say in front of everyone. Haman begins freaking out. Is he about to propose? She can't believe it. He gets in close and whispers in her ear, "The zipper on your back is open." She is mad that he didn't tell her earlier. He makes him zip it up and get her a drink as punishment. Char calls Haman, informing her that he has to work late today and can't meet up for drinks. She really wanted to drink and talk about her problems with someone. She calls Rekawa, but she has to be sober until her health checkup. She calls Kara, but she is out seeing her favorite band. She goes through all of her contacts and concludes that she doesn't have many friends outside of work. It begins raining. That is when Camille comes over with his umbrella. He wonders why she is fob squatting in the streets. Haman gets up and says, "Tonight is your lucky night. We are hanging out and getting drunk." Haman drops a lot of office gossip on Camille as they get drinks and Odin, which is a Japanese hot pot-like dish. The chef happens to be Segusa. Camille wonders if she has any friends. He is on to her. Haman says that Char has been active in her life and they were formerly dating. She tries to change the subject by asking Camille to give her some hot drama going on at his company. Camille happens to know that his boss, Bright, is having an affair. She couldn't believe that such an innocent-looking man could do such a thing. After their meal, Camille tells her not to invite him out again, but if she wants to complain, he would be open to finding his enemy's secrets. Haman wants to pay. Like last time, the two fight over the bill. Camille goes full autistic and says that she only went out because she is lonely and Char is the only lover she will ever have. He goes too far and apologizes. That is when Fa walks up. She said that Camille promised that he would get drinks with her after work, but his phone died. Camille doubles down on his autism and wonders why she cares so much and why she is so loud. Fa notices Haman and runs away, upset with him. Haman says that is cold, but Camille doesn't think he did anything wrong. Haman thinks to herself, oh, he's one of those very socially awkward autistics. Meanwhile, Segusa is still waiting for someone to pay for the bill. Haman is getting ready for work while listening to the news. The fortune teller, Sarasa Moon, says that Capricorns will have the worst luck today. Haman happens to be a Capricorn. She woke up with a bad pain in her neck, and now she has to work overtime due to a coworker. Things are not looking good for her today. The fortune teller says that the best way to ward off bad luck is to wear something different. Haman decides to go into work today wearing glasses. At first, she doesn't think that it suits her, but the other girls in the office love it. Mashimur comes over to the office and says it was he who messed up yesterday. He happened to be able to fix the issue that they were having this morning. She doesn't have to work overtime now. Haman is mad that listening to the fortune teller actually worked. However, she is still mad at Mashimur, as he was the one who messed up in the first place. The next day, the fortune teller Sarasa tells her to wear a sailor outfit. It looks like she has no choice but to listen. At the Argama company, Fa is spying on Camille. Bright asks him if he could work overtime today. He yells at Bright saying, "Why do adults always do this?" Just like in Zeta. He tells Bright that he can't because he has 2 tickets to see Rosamia in concert tonight. Fa and Camille went to the same school together. Even Fa used to give Camille chocolates for Valentine's Day, but it seems that he accepted it out of autistic necessity. Remember, girls give guys chocolates on Valentine's Day, and a month later, there is a holiday called White Day where men reciprocate. Camille ends up inviting Fa to join her as he happens to have 2 tickets, but she yells yells at Camille saying he always does these things last minute. Camille is too autistic and doesn't know what Fa is getting at, so he invites chores instead. Fa goes, no wait, no, I'm good, I'll come. Haman is enjoying a nice hot springs. But she is not alone. She is on an employee trip. Pudu comes up to her and starts a water fight. They are in a mixed hot springs and notice a guy in the distance. It happens to be Shar. Director Rackarin couldn't make it today, so he came in his place. As the two bicker, Sarah notes that they still make a great couple. Shar is about to tell them that they once dated, but Haman drowns him to prevent him from saying anything. Later, everyone goes to the arcade where there is a shooting range. Haman is going to get snacks while the rest play. But that's when she notices a prize at the shooting range. It is a mochi cube. She must win it for herself. She grabs a gun and begins playing. Haman spends a lot of money and gets a lot of prizes, but she can't get the mochi cube. She takes aim again and Shar comes in to help her. She shoots and is able to win the prize. She says that she did it all by herself, and Shar barely helped. Pudu and Pudu 2 say, nah, that was definitely Shar. Kara and Haman go to get some snacks at the local shop. She reminds Kara that the company isn't reimbursing her for alcohol. They head back where everyone is enjoying games. Kara challenges Haman to a game of ping pong. Winner has to pay for the alcohol. She accepts the challenge. Haman was in the table tennis club back in the day. She gets the first point, but in the process, she twists her ankle. She's very embarrassed. Bashar comes over and picks her up, while Haman ices her ankle. The girls hang out and drink together. They all decide to talk about love and boys. Moar tells the gang that her boyfriend is currently unemployed and is struggling. But wow, is he sure handsome. She is talking about Jared. Haman thinks that she is into bad boys. Also, everyone's drink is a pun of some sort. We got Pudu Pudu Lemon, Rao Plum, and High Mega Zero. Sarah hints at the fact that she did something in the past to break Katz's heart. Pudu says that love is just a chemical in the brain and a waste of money. Pudu 2 says that she loves Pudu. Sarah asks about her relationship with Shar. She is about to go into her past when Kara starts crying. She says, I want to be loved as well. I don't care by who. And then begins making out with Haman. Meanwhile, the boys are just playing poker. Everyone is out on the town. They stop to pick up some sweets at Dom Dom Berry. Pudu wants to try one of Haman's strawberries. Haman turns around and says, have a bite, only for Shar to be standing right there. He says, sure, I'll try some, but Haman tells him to get his own. The two take a break at a small bench. She notices that she is shifting her weight on one side and that her ankle is still in pain. He tells her that she shouldn't push herself too much. Shar happens to notice the small things. He does also mention that he knows where one of her moles are. You know, the one close to her butt? She gets embarrassed. Sarah says that the spot they are sitting at happens to be a famous couple spot. She wants to take a picture of the two. Shar says he will leave, but Haman tells him to stay. It's okay for them to take a picture every once in a while. As the gang head back to their city after their trip, Haman is reminded that being in a big group isn't so bad every once in a while. She gets home to realize that she forgot to clean her apartment. Haman got a gift for Judo during his business trip. He hopes that his little sister doesn't get into the way this time. However, when she goes into the kombini, she is met with the store manager, Yazan. Unlike Yazan and Zeta, this Yazan is very hospitable. That is when Judo comes in. He apologizes to Yazan. He took the day off to take care of his sister, but she told him she could take care of herself. He wants to work on his day off because he is dreamy and amazing in every way. Nervous, she awkwardly gives Judo the gift. He shares it with Yazan. Her plan of the gift going only to Judo has failed. Pudu 2 is lecturing Pudu about her sloppy habits. She doesn't clean up after herself. She never turns off the lights. And she is always walking around naked. She says that she needs to start acting like an older sister. Pudu is happy that Pudu 2 referred to her as her sister. She didn't listen to a damn word about cleaning up after herself, though. Meanwhile, Haman shows how to properly be an adult. With a beer in your hand, obviously. Haman is hurting head to toe after a day of work. She is cuddling with her Mochikube Unit 1. But Unit 1 is quite beat up. She needs to sew it up, but she sucks at sewing. She decides to get a new one and calls it New Mochikube. I get it. I love that Amazon in this universe is Danan-san. That means that Jeff Bezos is the real-life Rona family. She loves it. Now that she has a new one, she can throw out the beat-up one. But Mochikube Unit 1 is immune to fire. Fun fact, Japan still burns trash. She holds on to it for now. Another day at work for Haman. She is exhausted. That is when she passes by Makuve's toy shop with the max healing Mochikube. She must have it. Haman treats Mochikubes like most girls with those labubus these days. La-boo-boo. She then thinks about all the amazing times she had with Mochikube Unit 1. She can't throw it away. The next day, Haman heads to work with bandages on her hand. She decided to patch up Mochikube and didn't do the best job. Haman and Camille go to get some ramen. She wonders why they came here. Camille says he wanted ramen, so he went to a ramen place. She wonders what is up with this dude. Last time they met, he completely ignored that Fa girl that clearly likes him. She doesn't realize that the autism is strong with this one, but she tries to get more answers. She asks about Fa. Camille says that they were childhood friends that went to school together and eventually worked together. Haman thinks to herself, oh, this guy's a clueless moron. She tries to get him to see that Fa likes him, but Camille says, hey, are you coming on to me? Because I don't like you, Haman. This idiot fills Haman with rage, so now he must continue living in ignorance of Fa. At work, the Pudu twins are showing the other girls pics of when they were in elementary schools. The office wonders what Haman looked like when she was younger. We get to see this universe's version of Haman with a Char's Deleted Affair era look. She tells them that she was very popular back then. We flash back to a younger Haman. She passes by a young Iselina and Garma and calls Iselina a skank. She realizes she was kind of an asshole when she was a kid. Her co-workers don't need to know that though. Haman passes by Char, who is on the phone. He tells whoever he is talking to that he is excited to see them. She wonders if he is talking to a woman. She gets dramatic and says that there hasn't been a day gone by that I haven't thought about you. Oh, she's spiraling. Naturally, she thinks she should spy on him. Haman puts on her blonde wig and becomes Super Haman. He will never see her in this disguise. She turns the corner and ends up tripping, making her wig fall right off in front of Char. He happens to be meeting with Amado. He calls her a weirdo. Char, Amado, and Haman go bowling. She's still embarrassed that her disguise failed. Amado wonders why Char's girlfriend is always so miserable. Char says she gets jealous when he goes out with friends. Amado says, you were thinking of us making out, weren't you? Amado was a former ACE employee at the Argama company developing the RX-78-2 lingerie line. He is now unemployed. They want to go to karaoke. Char tells Amado that he needs to come back to the lingerie game. Haman wasn't going to join, but decides to do karaoke with him. Amado invites the Argama rookie to join them. It happens to be Camille. Haman begins singing, but Char and Amado ended up leaving on their own. They left money for them to enjoy the room, but Camille doesn't want to stay. He says he will stay and listen to one song. Pick up the Zaku maracas, Camille. Pick up the Zaku maracas. Camille says that she is good at singing. Oh my god, he actually said a compliment. Haman wants Camille to sing, but he doesn't want to. She says, you better sing, Camille, or this mic is going up your butthole. Char and Amado happen to be watching. They never left and wanted to see them sing, but they got an even better show. Both Camille and Haman are embarrassed. Amado officially introduces Camille to Char. Char says, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. He has one question. He points to Haman and says, she really your ex? You dated this person? Haman is horrified. Minerva visits Haman. When she gets to her apartment, she is met with Pudu. Haman went out to get some tea, and Pudu is house sitting. She enters into Haman's place to find Pudu too. There's two of them. Minerva thinks they are young kids and not working adults. They say, of course we're adults. People need justification for sexualizing us. Might as well age us up. Gross. The Pudu show Minerva candid footage they took of Haman at work. Haman walks in and tells them to stop showing Minerva this. Haman and Fa are in the sauna. She says, Yoryu, which means the pouring on the thingy to raise the temperature in the room. Haman does the same thing out of spite. There is an editorial note that says that Haman and friends would like to remind everyone to have proper etiquette in the sauna. This is why saunas are electric in the US. That is when Karasun comes in with her tits out. She then pours water, raising the temperature once again. Fa and Haman rush out of the sauna. Pudu 2 tells Haman that they haven't heard back from the designer yet. She says, screw it, let's go pay them a visit. The designer happens to be For Murasame. For says that she don't listen to no one. That is her way. Haman says the deadline is today. It sounds like there's one day left then till the deadline, For tells her. She begins to freak out, just like her UC counterpart. Deadlines is her trigger word in this universe. Instead of missing her memories, she lost her creativity. For begins measuring Pudu and Haman's bust and waist. They go to For's secret lab that she calls Murasame Labs. Inside, she is working on secret designs. We see a room full of dresses. In this room is Relina Peacecraft's outfit from Gundam Wing and Lacus Klein's pop star outfit. She also works on cosplay outfits down here as well. For begins panicking once again and says, no, my creativity, where have you gone? She says that both their bodies match her vision for her cosplays. She dresses Purutu in her UC pilot suit and Haman in her Neo Zeon commander outfit. Haman is embarrassed. That is when head of product planning Namikar walks in. Like in Zeta Gundam, she harnesses her cyber Newtype power and her aura is huge. Namikar is excited and says that 4 has finally found her creativity. They were able to make their deadline. The Neo Zeon company is finally finished shipping their big product for the year, and they all finally have a moment to breathe. 4 comes in to thank her by giving her a poster of her cosplay. She crumples the poster and demands to know how she got the picture. 4 says that Puru took it. She says, don't worry, I have more. She stops 4 by taking her out to lunch. They go to Garma's Sweets, where they get the special parfait, Levian Rose. It is 1,750 yen. Why did it feel the need to tell me the price? Also, as of this video, that is $11.71. 4 says that this is the first work friend she has made. Haman goes, oh no, is this what happened? She says, I guess we could go for drinks sometimes. But 4 doesn't drink. You don't drink? In Japan? No wonder you don't have friends. That is when Fa and Camille walk in. Haman tells 4 they should get back, but 4 heads over to Camille. She seems to know him. 4 was childhood friends with Fa and Camille. Haman walks over to them and yells, stop hitting on my friends, before grabbing 4 and running out. 4 now has a new friend in the office. Char once again cancels his plans to hang out with Haman. She is mad about all the excuses he is making. She tries to calm herself down by watching cute animal videos, but she ended up buying something instead. 1 week later, her purchase came in the mail. It is a custom-made Char body pillow. It cost her 12,100 yen, which is around 80 bucks. Damn. She tells Pillow Char that his time is up and begins punching and suplexing the pillow. After getting all her stress out, she realizes how silly it was to buy this. Char calls her and apologizes for being flaky and asks if she wants to get drinks right now. She tries to hold a strong front, but gives in and decides to meet with him. She is mad at herself. Camille is stressing out Chief of Product Development Bright. He looks at a picture of his family to calm him down. It would be funny if Hathaway turned out to be a terrorist in this universe as well. That is when Emery comes into the elevator with him. She gets too close and personal with Bright. She wants him to show her a pic of his family. When Camille walks in on them getting touchy-feely, he does a Grandpa Simpson and walks right out of the elevator. He goes and vents what he just saw to Haman over ramen. During the middle of a business meeting, Mashimer falls asleep. Haman gives him cash and tells him to go get coffee. She reaches for her bag when she realizes that her limited edition Mochi Cube charm fell off. Mashimer says that she had it on her bag this morning. She wonders how often Mashimer is watching her. She tries to play it cool and says it's just a toy. She's most certainly dying inside though. The next day, Mashimer found her Mochi Cube. He retraced Haman's footsteps and found it in the lost and found section at the train station. She finds this quite endearing. However, while spending the time looking for the charm, he completely forgot to prepare for today's meeting. She no longer finds it endearing. Haman is walking home. She thought today's meeting could have been an email. While walking, she spots Judo in the distance. She needs to play it cool. They pass one another. Judo didn't even notice. It takes him a moment, but suddenly realizes that it is Haman and says hello. Haman responds, but comes out desperate, which is exactly what she was trying to prevent. Haman says out loud that her heart has been rejuvenated and she could sleep well tonight. While saying this, a runner is passing by. It happens to be Yazan out for a nightly run. He says, thanks for the juicy gossip, peace. Rekoa, Kara, and Haman go out for drinks talking about their troubles with men. On her way home, she realizes she too is drunk. That is when Judo comes and helps her out. She thinks she is dreaming. He offers to take her home, but she is too embarrassed. He says she should be safer and she can get hurt. Haman thinks, wow, he's so caring and dreamy. He takes her home. Maybe they could touch each other's butts, she thinks. But then suddenly, the urge to throw up hits her like a bag of bricks. Judo gets her some water. She is so embarrassed about how messy she is that she begins crying. Judo begins petting her and says it's okay. He says this is how he calms her sister Lena down. The next day, he goes to the convenience to say thanks to Judo. When she runs into Rue Luca. As she leaves the convenience store, she yells at a car. Haman thinks, oh no, she's beautiful and a bitch. I can't compete with that. Haman has that girl on her mind. She is extremely jealous. Kara can tell that she has a boy on her mind. She knows how she could solve Haman's love problems. She takes her to the Moon fortune teller. They meet with Sarasa Moon. She starts with Kara and says that she will find love soon. She then moves on to Haman and says that she could sense a huge evil coming from her. She is drinking too much. Haman thinks, tell me something I don't know. Then Sarasa says, you once wore a push-up bra and then your ex-boyfriend noticed and you were so embarrassed by it and now I'm reminding you of it. Yeah, that one struck a nerve. Haman thinks that she is spying on her, but Sarasa says it is merely the teaching of the light. The fortune teller tells her that what she is looking for is close by. Later, she watches TV and drinks beer while ignoring everything Sarasa told her. While watching, she notices Rue Luca on television, representing the Argama Apparel Company. Rue Luca is the hottest thing in the apparel industry right now. Haman is reading a magazine. On the cover is Tomino giving advice for rejuvenating your looks. When I need advice on looks, I always go to Tomino. She should be enjoying lunch with Camille, but she is being very catty. Camille suggests that she fight back. He says, you could do the same thing because you're a beautiful woman if you keep your mouth shut. Even when my boy Autistic K is giving a compliment, it still comes off as an insult. Haman yells at Camille and proves his point. After work, Camille goes home to play an RPG. He wields his Zeta sword. He attacks some Zakus that look like those elemental blobs from Final Fantasy games. He then runs into a girl who joins his party. The girl praises him and gives him attention as he talks about his woes with working at an apparel company. He's mainly just complaining about Bright. They defeat an S-level monster together. She wonders if he can meet Camille in person. Camille thinks it is a bad idea, but he eventually goes through with it. He goes to meet her only to find out that it is Char. The name of his in-game avatar is Quattro Bagina. It should have been obvious. Char says that he needed to be as cute as possible to get his attention. Camille is disappointed. Char puts on some cat ears and says, "Does this make it better?" After all, he liked it when he wore cat ears in-game. Camille is not impressed. Later that night, Char texts Haman pics of Camille wearing cat ears. Haman is missing so much context. It is summer and really hot at the moment. She is very sticky. That is when Puru bursts into her apartment and says, "Get up, we're going to the beach." This is a beach episode! Unlike Puru, Puru 2 is covered head to toe. She calls this her full armor UV protection suit. Add another full armor variant to the pile. Haman dresses more conservatively, mainly because her sexy swimsuits from her 20s no longer fits her anymore, and she is embarrassed. She then decides to reschedule for a couple weeks from now. That will give her some time to work off all the beer. She stops drinking and starts running laps around Yazan. The day has come. She is looking good. She meets up with everyone and is excited to see Judo. However, he decides to invite Rue. All hope is now lost for Haman. We flash back to a week earlier, where Haman asked out Judo to the beach. He says that he was also supposed to meet with some friends at the beach that day. Perhaps they should all meet up. Elle wonders why Bicha and Haman know each other. They went on a blind date in the past, but now they pretend like nothing ever happened. Rue takes off her top and shows off her beach bod. Haman has been waiting for this moment. She takes off her top as well. They play some volleyball with a hotto-shaped ball. Haman spikes the ball right into Rue's face. She throws it at Haman's butt. They begin fighting one another. Bicha asks Judo which one of their swimsuits he likes more. The girls stop fighting and start listening. He says he likes them both. Ooh. Rue says she doesn't care about being judged by someone with no fashion sense. Rue asks Haman if she likes Judo. Meanwhile, Puru 2 is enjoying her full armor mode, but Puru tells everyone that she has a bathing suit underneath. They pull off her full armor mode. Oh no, she's vulnerable. Haman convinces Rue that she is just a customer at his konbini. She asks Rue if she likes him. She says he isn't her type, but later Rue asks Judo to rub some sunscreen on her back. Haman runs defense and puts the sunscreen on Rue's back herself. Haman wants to ride with Judo on his banana boat. Rue decides to tackle Haman. While they fight once again, Puru gets pulled out into the sea. Haman swims after her to save her, but Rue says this is now a competition, bitch. However, Judo beat both of them and saves Puru. Puru gives Judo a kiss and they get super jealous. Rue tells Puru to be more careful or she will upset her mother. Haman realizes she is referring to her. That bitch! Camille asks Fa out to a water park. She wonders why he decided to come here. When they enter, he is determined to go to one attraction, the Wave Rider. He says, "Wait here," and goes on the ride alone. Fa realizes that this autistic boy just wanted someone to go with him while he rides this ride. Haman is trying to reach something on the top shelf. Mashimer is here to save the day. He says, "Step on me, Haman-Sama." She probably shouldn't, but it is just Mashimer. Before she could step on him, Puru brings a stepladder. Aw, let her step on him. Haman is running late for her meeting. As she runs to the train station, she meets Amado Ray, who gives her a ride. He refers to her as Char's ex-girlfriend. She declines his offer, but then Amado says, "Those who ignore the feelings of other people will cause me to suffer for the rest of my life." Amado is way too intense for Haman, but she accepts his offer. The name of his sports car is Pegasus. He says that she should get back together with Char. She wonders why he cares so much about a relationship. Amado is just tired of Char bothering him like he's his girlfriend and wants to pass the buck. He's tired of Char doing all those extremely wicked things.
Amaro.
He drops her off and yells, "Amado Ray, launching," before driving off. Char says, "Hey, was that just Amado?" Haman says, "It's not always about you." Meanwhile, outside of the apparel company, someone is spying on them. It is Paptimus Sirocco and a young Glimmy Toto. He despises Haman. Minerva shows Haman photos she took from the beach trip. She says there was some random guy who started filming them. It happened to be Lino. Haman says that Minerva is the greatest sister ever and no one comes close to their relationship. She says this while the Purus are in the room. Yeah, suck it. They then decide to start calling Haman mommy and make her embarrassed. She looks at the photos and notices that she is always staring at Judo. They could tell that Haman likes him. They all hug her, but Puru tells him to stop. Puru too is now the mommy. While out and about, Haman runs into Camille with Torres. He is tanned. Camille tells Haman about his date at the water park with Fa. He says, it was okay. But in his mind, he had the greatest time ever. Fa asks Haman if she could help her find a man. The two drink some black TriStar coffee. She realizes Fa needs a man as the subject for her next cosplay. She shows her the new cosplay, which is Char's Xeon uniform. Haman thinks she might know some guys. She goes home and realizes she knows no one. She thinks about Judo wearing it, then Camille. It doesn't suit either of them. She then thinks of Char and thinks he is a perfect fit. Pudu and some others want to join Fa, but Haman doesn't want to go. She changes her mind when she sees Fa and Char getting close. They make it to the convention hall. Haman regrets everything. While everyone is enjoying the con cosplaying, Haman is dying of cringe in the corner. Everyone's at the con. We see Lacus, Allenby, and Domon. Char comes over in his Char cosplay. He says he is nailing it. It's such a curse to be this flawless. Kika Kobayashi wants to take a picture of them, but Haman runs away as she doesn't want evidence of being here. She should have never came. Char comes over and puts his mask on Haman. He says she could wear his mask if she is afraid of being seen in public, but she doesn't want to. He tells her that everyone here is trying to have a good time and to loosen up. She eventually comes around and takes a photo with con-goers. However, Fa says it is time for the second outfit, which is something you would probably see in a Xeon USO show. Rosamia in the universe is an idol. Of course, Camille simps hard for her. He says that she inspires him and makes it very awkward. He nervously shakes her hand and is herded out of there like the cattle he is. Fa is next up to see her. This is the first time Camille and Fa are wearing matching outfits, and it is cringe fan apparel. She hates Rosamia so much. Rosamia says that Camille and Fa make a great couple. She loves Rosamia so much. This makes her so happy that she almost forgot what she was mad at Camille about. They head outside to the cosplay area where she sees Haman. She now remembers why she is mad at Camille. Sarah is really into Vice President Paptimus Sirocco. He joined the company when the Titans merged with Neo Xeon Apparel. Haman is not really into him. Sarah is also a former Titans employee. Sirocco knows Haman's name and department. He has memorized everyone's face. Sarah melts with excitement. Haman declares that she too, as a woman, can turn on the charisma. Sirocco stubs his toe on a plant and makes the Sirocco face. Haman thinks, oh, he's clumsy. Neo Xeon holds a meeting. They're testing the PMX 003 VO lingerie line. Sarah is there to gawk at Paptimus. Sirocco is here to free the women weighed down by gravity. Haman is so done with Sarah. This is supposed to be women only. Haman says, listen here, you asshole. I know you are here to look at them titties. Sirocco tries to charm her by saying she has quite a way with words. That is when Char pops out of a box telling Sirocco to back off. He says, I've been sneaking on you, who has been sneaking on women. They argue back and forth before Haman grabs them by the ties and throws them out of the meeting. Sirocco wants to read her reports later. As he leaves, he stubs his toe again and makes Sirocco face. Haman is starting to think that this man is an idiot. Haman is getting drowsy on the couch. She hates falling asleep here because she always has bad dreams. It's too late. She passes out. She is in a high school and hurts her ankle. Judo must come to save the day, but Sirocco and the morality police ruin the moment. Haman-Sama's Imperial Guard comes to help out. An arrow is shot by Haman's head with the note, meet outside after class. She meets with Rue and her Bancho. Bancho means gang of delinquents, which is an anime cliche in itself at this point. Rue attacks her for hugging Judo earlier. She runs to get help from her teachers, Amado and Char. But Char says blame it on the misfortune of your youth. She is all alone. But then Camille comes to save the day with his Rosamia merch. He goes by the Lone Wolf, Iron Fist, Snap Punch, Camille Biden. Camille turns around towards Haman and says that she is his opponent. Before he could go into a long rant, Haman knees him in the gut. In the real world, Haman and Camille are getting lunch together, but Haman is ignoring her. Haman visits Hendrik and Emma. Emma is mad at Henkin. She asked him the trolley question, and Henkin said that he would save Emma over his coworkers. But she says to think of the greater good. You can never win, boys. Henkin says her anger just means that she cares. Emma brings tea and she trips, but Henkin comes to save the day. Haman says that this is everything that she ever wanted. Her maternal instincts are kicking in and she can't handle it. She needs to distract herself with a night out. She hangs out with Rekoa. Haman asks her if she has a boyfriend. She doesn't currently. She is crushed by the weight of being alone. This is making Rekoa think about it, and she begins having her own existential crisis. Later, they are at the bars. Rekoa does what she wants. She doesn't even care about her health. But Kara ditches the girls for her new boyfriend. They call Kara a traitor. Late at night, Pudu and Pudu 2 are watching a scary movie. Later, Pudu 2 writes in her diary and heads to bed. But Pudu can't sleep and is scared, so she sleeps with Pudu 2. Pudu 2 tells her a story about one time when Haman's skirt ripped to ease her sister's mind. This instantly causes her to pass out. The lightning scares Pudu 2 and she is glad her sister is here. However, they are both in Haman's bed. Pudu wants to hear the story about Haman's big butt again. The two kept Haman up all night. When she gets into work, she runs into the president's assistant, Ilya Palzom. She tells Haman that the president wants to see her immediately. The president of the company is Glimmy Toto. Haman smacks him, pretending to shake his hand. Glimmy is sad that his personal space is being invaded. He wants her to complete a mission. If she does, she will be promoted, and the public relations team will get an upgraded vending machine. The Pudu twins burst into the office. They are related. Pudu dropkicks Glimmy without hesitation. Ilya gives Haman documents. Haman looks at them in shock. When she leaves Glimmy's office, she runs into Rue. She says, "Listen, me and Judo are just friends." Haman wants Rue to go on a group date with her. Glimmy treats everyone to drinks. He toasts to this rigged game. We find out that intel that Glimmy gave Haman was about Rue. Her mission is to set up a group date so Glimmy could get close to Rue. She wonders what Haman got her into. Haman tries to reframe it as a relationship building exercise between two companies. They play Osagemu, or King's Game. It's essentially a version of Truth or Dare. Ilya is the king. She tells Rue and Glimmy to kiss. Rue tells Haman to not just stand there and help her. She gives Rue the gladiator thumbs up. Good luck. Rue says let's up the game. If Glimmy could outdrink Rue, then he could have more than a kiss. Glimmy accepts. The editorial of this comic says that Rue is a professional and to not try this at home. Glimmy takes one sip and is instantly drunk. He says that he loves Rue before passing out. Rue and Haman have a drink to themselves. Sometime later, Haman's department got that new vending machine. She didn't get that raise, however. Moar was formerly a Titans member. To Haman, she is perfect in every way. This chapter is Moar's daily life, baby. Nichijou, bitch! She returns home to find Jared sad and getting drunk off a Wing Zero. This is a Gundam Wing joke, but it also references Strong Zero, a 9% alcoholic drink from Japan that you could get at 7-Eleven. This dude's on his 5th can. He's gonna be throwing that up in a few hours. He feels worthless, but Moar tells him that he matters to her. He says, "Thanks, babe. I'm off to play pachinko. By the way, can I have some money?" This is what peak jobless in Japan looks like. He runs out of the apartment only to get hit by Camille riding his bike. How embarrassing. A little kid gets a Mochi Cube from a gachapon machine, but he didn't want a Mochi Cube. He wanted a Mochi Zeta. Haman says, "Psst, hey, little kid, you like Mochi Zeta? I got Mochi Zeta. Look inside my jacket." Kids, if an adult tells you to look inside their jacket, run away. Luckily, the kid is scared away. Haman sees Camille using the gachapon machine. He too gets a Mochi Cube. The two make a reluctant trade. Meanwhile, I think Jared lost all of Moar's money. Camille is playing Jaburo, the RPG game. Here, he is known as Zeta. He meets the Playboy bunny Haman. She needs his help to find Gundanium ore, the rarest of ores. Camille says, "You dumb noob. You are way too low level of a player to be doing that. You fool. Get lost, wannabe." I love how autistic they make Camille in this series. Camille is trying to link up with Lady Char. A cloaked man approaches. It happens to be Amado. He too is a Playboy bunny. The three go on a quest to the ancient ruins of Solomon. Haman in real life is struggling because it is 2 a.m. in the morning. She can't go on too much longer. That is when the divine beast, the Big Zam, approaches them. Haman uses sexy pose to paralyze the enemy. It wasn't effective. Camille comes to save the day. The two proclaim to be by each other's side during this battle, but it is too late. Amado took down the Big Zam, no problem. Haman was able to get the Gundanium ore she was looking for. Amado says since he's the best in the game, he becomes the Playboy bunny to give him a challenge. It's a masochism thing, you wouldn't understand. Beltorchica is a new reporter covering the latest in the lingerie industry, and she is interviewing Haman. We cut to 1 month earlier. A TV show wants to interview their company, and they plan on having Haman's PR department handle it. She is talking to Rakan Decorin. He puts immense pressure on her. In the present, they start the tour by talking to 4, but she is passed out. She wakes up crying, saying that she never wants to work mornings ever again. Beltorchica then interviews Char, the man who goes 1.3 times normal speed of work. It's only 1.3 in this universe. She asks him what she thinks the industry needs right now. Char simply responds, Amado Ray. She then interviews the public relations department. But Beltorchica thinks this is boring and won't get views. With some quick thinking, Haman rallies the office workers and tells them they will strike the enemy. Glory to Neo Zeon. Later, the TV just aired footage of the Poodoo twins being silly. None of it mattered. And that will do it for this episode. Just like Universal Century, even when Glimmy has the power, he still doesn't have the respect of the ladies. Poor Moir is in love with a man who spends all her money at the pachinko parlor. Maybe Iazan will turn his life around. Next time, Playboy Bunny Haman enters the world of Jaburo again. Judo does a little cross-dressing, and Haman and Amado go for a hike. Also, we are more or less caught up. No one has translated Volume 7 yet, and it has been out for almost a year now. Someone else that isn't me. Get on that. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, don't help your boss get laid. Peace.